Hi, I'm Leathur Rokk. Welcome to my channel. As you can see, I already got started on bleaching my roots. And matter of fact, keep this in the bathroom at least for a little bit. I will probably be having to adjust this and bring this someplace else pretty soon because you can probably hear too many neighbor sounds from next door that I don't think need to be a part of this video, unless you want to get an education in various sad realities of urban life, and I don't think you do. But I am so glad that I finally got to get my hair dye yesterday. I was really out of it, and I always had the bleach, but I also wanted to do it on a day when I wouldn't have somebody else begging to use the full bathroom. And that's another reason why I wanted to do my hair today. I am also, yes, obviously going to put my hair dye in, but I am going to possibly do that tomorrow. And if I can balance this. Yeah, this is really an issue of my trying to find a safe place to put this tablet, and I really don't want to put it up here because that's like amplifying the neighbors. And you can't even see what I'm doing. I just hope that doesn't fall. Yeah, this is really interesting. I feel like my roots have never been out this bad, but my mother says that she's seen it worse. You know what? Let's carry this into I really don't like hearing everything next door. It really is creeping me out. But you know what? I have to be where I can see some kind of a mirror. So I am going to put this. Oh, geez. I don't know where I'm going to put it. This is really going to be a problem, you guys. You can tell that even though I gave this some thought, I didn't give it enough thought. So I'm going to hope this stays where I put it. I really am having a problem not having a way to mount this tablet. And now I'm getting bleach on it. One of my friends and fellow YouTubers suggested I actually tape it up against the wall. But I really don't think that's a good idea. Okay. Put this here, but I don't have a mirror here anymore. So, yeah, let me get this out as a mirror. At least the lighting is good here. Yeah, yesterday when I went to the beauty supply place, I knew that it was going to be a bit of a walk. And I really enjoy walking, but let me tell you, it was a bit of an experience because, for one thing, it was a bit cooler than I thought it was going to be. And even though I was wearing a long leather trench coat over my yellow mini skirt and my star and moon and sun top that I loved so much, and I got to take some really nice pictures that some of you have seen, but something happened to one of my toes on my way home. The big toe on my left foot, just like it snapped. It didn't really snap, but it just felt really weird, and I could still walk on it, but normally I'm a really fast walker, and I had to walk slower, and I couldn't walk as long a gait as I normally do, and I was wearing sensible boots. After I get this stuff on, I'll show you what I was wearing. This is a mouse that Cassie caught. I feel really bad. I tried to save it, but I took it from her as soon as she caught it. I took a few pictures and I tried to revive it, but there was no way that I could. And you know, it really kind of bugs me when they kill these mice, because they do it so violently, you know? And I know it's a natural thing, but still, I feel bad for the mouse. And I've never been afraid of them, unlike my mom and my dad used to be, you know? And as a little girl growing up, whenever my parents would overreact, whenever they would see a mouse, which was very rare when I was a child, it really was. And it probably was because I've always had cats, and once you have cats, they really do a number on your mice. You know, and our landlords always had pest control and stuff, so I never was raised with really mice or bugs, you know. And I never saw a cockroach until I moved to California, so I realize I should consider myself very grateful for that. But anyway, getting back to yesterday, after my toe kind of snapped and I had to change how I was walking, I was even ended up walking with a little bit of a limp, you know. And I couldn't understand why this would happen with the kind of boots that I was wearing. They were like an inch and a half stacked heel, and there's plenty of room in the toe, and there's plenty of arch support and ankle support and all that. And you know, and I know I didn't twist my ankle or do anything like that, but it was just, it kind of took away from some of my pleasure of my walk. And then at one point, once I had seen a really interesting view of the bay from Ventnor and water tower and some rowers and a bunch of things, and all of a sudden my tablet stopped working. And the thing is, it wasn't out of power. It was actually at 80% of the power. But, and I didn't have my cord with me because I wasn't planning on going to trying to find a place to charge up or something, because it really, power lasts pretty long. But, so I ended up taking my time coming home, and it probably took me 2 hours longer than I thought it would be to walk the distance. It was like about a little over 4 miles each way. But yeah, oh, and about a half a mile from my home, I passed this area that has a whole bunch of tattoo parlors and Spanish businesses and stuff. And this one guy, I wanted to get out of his way, so I gave him like a good 6 feet distance. I wasn't wearing a face mask because my sinuses were starting to go. And all of a sudden, the top of his voice, he yelled out, "Whore!" And I kind of lost it, and I offered to kick his ass. I said, I hope I live to see the day that somebody bigger than him went and beat his ass. And he said, you have no right to come up to people you don't know and call names, and you wouldn't like if somebody did that to you or somebody you cared about. And the thing is now, not that there's ever any excuse to call a person name, but not only did I not know this person, I was wearing a leather trench coat which covered my miniskirt, so anything that I was wearing that would in any way seem hoary to anybody, I was covered up. And even though I wasn't holding my coat closed, because the whole idea of wearing outfits is not to hide them from the world, I might often feel the need to be a little lower key in my immediate neighborhood, but that's only because the neighborhood is really, really, really dangerous, and I'm trying to not have my whereabouts be noticed or monitored or anything. But this guy just really, he was very out of line, and I was hoping that I would draw enough attention that some of the biker types and tattoo artists would go and chase him out and maybe even beat his ass. I wouldn't have minded, to be perfectly honest with you. You know, I don't treat people wrong unless they really, really, really deserve it. And I know you're supposed to keep, be aware of your battles in life and be smart with your time and everything, but that just kind of was so very unnecessary, you know. And I wasn't like, I'm trying to think, well, maybe he didn't like my Trump hat, maybe that was it, but still, there's no excuse. And anyhow, I don't know what about a MAGA hat makes a person a prostitute. I mean, maybe you know something I don't. I imagine there may be one or two whores that wear MAGA hats, but I don't really think it's a thing. So I got in, and then when I saw how my makeup had melted, oh my god, it was like all over the place. I looked like Picasso. I really did. So, but if you saw the whole video, you saw what my face looked like. I before I even left the house that day, like every 5 minutes, I had to reapply my blue eyeliner because it was just my eyes, especially my right eye, was really melting. It was just running so much. Usually that happens when I'm outside. Any kind of wind makes my eyeballs water. But even indoors, and it wasn't like my sinuses were going. If my sinuses are going, I take one of the Sudafed pills, and that helps me to breathe. But it just, I didn't have any waterproof makeup on, so that's why I was so glad to get some waterproof mascaras when I was there. It had been so long since I had waterproof makeup, and and I just didn't feel like making the minimum order to get the free shipping on these various sites where I really didn't need a bunch of other things, and I don't need any more eyeshadow, even though I'm not saying that I don't get tempted by beautiful palettes and different things, and I still have my ideas for what I would think a great palette would be for certain situations. Like I have an idea for a palette for Washington D.C., for instance, and palettes can have different purposes, but I think if you want something that's really standalone, like for me, you always have to have a white of some kind, both a matte and a frost. But I did find out that one of my favorite foundation colors, I'm sure I can't afford it, is by Tom Ford. And the color is called Pearl, and it's the absolute lightest. It is so beautiful. I like that foundation, and the one that's just darker than that. And I think the Pearl is aspirational if you want to be the palest version of your own color, and I see nothing wrong with that considering all the people that want to be tanner and stuff. But it's a really beautiful color, but I can only imagine how much it is. What they're asking for high-end foundation anymore is just take your breath away expensive, and I'm sorry, I can't see it. But I still think if you're a real pale person, one of the best things you can use for sheer foundation is this Copper Tone Defense and Care SPF 50. I got it at the dollar stores around here, and this goes on really, really white. And if you're really, 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 really pale and you want something that not only protects you, has UVA, UVV protection for your UVs, but it also, because of the white cast, it's a physical sunscreen, which is actually really more effective, protects you better. And it also helps to make, if you have any freckling and skin discoloration, it makes it less visible, just like a foundation would have. So now if you have darker skin and you don't want that white cast, just cover it with a foundation that matches you. But nowadays, it's really, if you're on a budget and you're not careful, you could accidentally find yourself having bought a tinted a tinted sunscreen that is too dark for you, which has happened to me. And I really hate it when I have something that seems like it has a self-tanner built in. Unless it says on the label, if it says on the label that it has these different things, these qualities, okay, I could see it that way. If that's something that you're looking for in a product, you can get it. But if it is just something that you're just getting sunblock because obviously you want to protect yourself and you want to enhance these things about your skin tone that you like, why the heck would you want a coloring? And I'm saying all these people belly aching about how they're worried about the flashback and stuff. Well, if they know this, like I said, wear something that's tinted or wear foundation makeup. They seem to think like nobody wants those qualities. And then the people that say that people who they know have darker skin, when they use foundation to give flashback or something, or they think their makeup artist made them too light, or if they think they were edited to look too light, people describe their pale makeup and look as looking ghostly or dead, and that's an insult. In other words, you're saying because somebody's light skinned they look dead. Well, if somebody gives some kind of observation like that to somebody just because they were darker, the people would get on them right away and call them racist. So, all of a sudden it's open season on whitey, and it's okay to make fun of pale people. I think that is ridiculous. Maybe I prefer people being the color they are. Or maybe I think that what's good for the goose is good for the gander. What if you want to lighten your skin instead of darken it? You know, it's ridiculous. These people think that the only way that they can look good on stage or something is if everybody dyes their skin the same color, which it seems like when you see those girls going for spray tans before they go on photo shoots and stuff. And it ends up happening is no matter what their nationality is, they all look the same. And then they wear those chicken cutlets underneath their bra tops so their bodies are all the same. I mean, I don't know what this is about the need for conformity and beauty standards. I understand they come and go, but when people feel that you cannot just be yourself and appreciate who you are, or go for a certain aesthetic and not be shamed for that, and what's wrong with having a certain idea of what you think is beautiful and pursuing that? People shouldn't make you feel bad for it. You're not hurting other people. And if you think that if your image is out there, you're going to be a bad influence to somebody, that's kind of ridiculous. You can't take a look at a picture and really know the backstory, especially considering all the editing and stuff that can be done. You just can't make assumptions. And you shouldn't make people feel bad about what it is that they like. That is really mean. It's just like you shouldn't, if a person has a dating preference for a certain type, that doesn't make them racist just because they have certain likes. There's nothing wrong with having a type. I'm not going to think less of somebody just because they want to date somebody that doesn't happen to be me. You like what you like. Big deal. And why have a hang up about it? You know, that's just, people can be so ridiculous and petty, and I think it has a lot to do with insecure, or the people, some people that just always, they're not happy unless they found a way to make themselves a victim, and they're looking for external excuses for why they can't have or do fill in the blanks, whatever their goals are. If you are so quick to not have any kind of personal responsibility for your life, it's so easy to look for externals to either blame things on or to give credit when actually you did do the work. You know, I think people would be a lot happier if they just were at peace with themselves and didn't have hang-ups on what other people's journey was. You can't, when you look outside at a person, you don't know what their inner journey is. You see what they post on social media, you probably only see the very best. You know, and meanwhile, you know what you're going through, you know your story. And people just, they care too much about what other people think. And it's ridiculous. I never really understood that. I feel so grateful that I was raised to not be a conformist, even to have the courage to ask my teachers why certain curricula was involved, why certain things were expected. Of course, then when you have an English teacher for a mother, you really do learn a lot about how to assert yourself, because you learn how to communicate with other adults in a very intelligent manner. And yes, I guess there is a certain confidence that you have. So thanks, Mom. Speaking of Mom, I am going to go in and ask her to spot me and see what I may have missed in the back. There's invariably, I always miss a spot, and a lot of times it's like a bishop cap. I got pretty good through the years that I can feel dry spots even through gloves. Even though when I first started doing my bleaching, I used to a lot of times not even wear gloves. That way I could feel better when my scalp was dry or something. But after I started feeling that burn from the peroxide, then I stopped doing that. And sometimes checking on how much you get of a burn you get helps you with your timing. But the thing is, this is 30 volume. And I started off when I bleached my hair, I started off with 20 volume. But through the years, I found the 30 volume, you don't have as long a timing, but you have to apply it faster. You really do. So, another thing I wanted to mention, this should go without saying, I know that the quality of my videos has really been lacking. And I'm not talking about when I film other people outside making music. That was a one-off. I'm not going to be doing that very much. I did that as much for a friend as anything else because he specifically asked me to. But right now I have some obvious tech limitations. I don't have a way to mount this, and I can't edit with these things, and anything I film with this tablet has to be straight shot through. And so even if I am outside doing something, if I am looking for something, or if I go out of frame, I don't have the ability to take those things out. So yes, you're going to have some patience, and I hope you do. And I hope you understand that I'm doing the best that I can with the limitations that I have until I find a way to adequately do the turnaround, until I find out what equipment I need and stuff. I am not the most high-tech channel on the block. And if my lack of a niche is confusing to you at all, please, again, bear with me. It's not that I'm having an identity crisis. It's that I'm just not a niche down channel, and I'm still figuring out what works. But basically, my channel is going to be based on what happens to be going on in my life. And of course, when I make news and political commentary, those are subjects that I do care about, because if I don't care about them, why would I film them? But yeah, as I find out what works, I cut down on certain kinds of content, which is why you haven't seen me do a makeup tutorial in quite a while. And I really wasn't going to be doing much in the way of haul videos, because they do seem like as fun as they are to watch, they do seem like they advocate for a lot of overly conspicuous consumption, especially with some people that do the mega hauls where they're getting hundreds of dollars worth of makeup at one time, and they got to live 10 lifetimes to use up all the stuff. I mean, I think about all the makeup palettes I have. I hope I live a nice long life so I get to use it. But that said, when I am looking for interesting subjects to film about, and I know I'm actually going to be going outside and I'm going to be someplace which is infinitely more pristine and aesthetically attractive than where I happen to be living, sure, I want to show that off. And since I want to show other places besides Atlantic City, since I really don't want to be pigeonholed as an Atlantic City YouTuber, I just happen to be living here until I can afford to get the hell out of here. So I want to show you other things that are more aspirational. So if I can go to a really fancy bedroom community with $1 million houses and well manicured lawns and beautiful flowers and really interesting businesses, I want to do that. And if I could show you things that I care about. I thought I had a chance to do some recent travel, but when I was really sick, and last thing I wanted to do was go out of state and be having a hard time breathing, and of course you have to wear masks when you're on public transportation, and it's really hard when you're coughing up junk and everything, wearing an N95 mask. And plus, nobody wants to hear anybody making sounds that sounds like they're sick. It makes people nervous. On the subject of masks, by the way, they are saying that here in Atlantic County they are having an uptake in corona again. So they had 19 new cases as of this morning here in the county. I got this information from my mother, heard it on some talk radio station this morning, of course, when I was asleep, because I didn't go to bed till like 5 o'clock in the morning last night, because that's how I roll. But yeah, so now all of a sudden people went from hardly anybody else was wearing masks, and now a few more people are wearing masks. And I have been wearing them certain places where I think the crowd might possibly be not as health conscious. And like I went out today to grab a couple groceries, and I wore my mask. Plus, it kept me more hidden from the dirt bags around here. So things have been so eye-opening with pertains to my neighborhood. Things that I really didn't care to know, because I kind of, in a way, don't want to know too much. But then there's a part of me that is just naturally curious, just because, almost from a journalistic standpoint, that this whole experience is quite a trip. I mean, because I knew of some gangs when I lived in Southern California, but I didn't have any reason to really be impacted by their business. It was something that I knew was a fact of life, but they didn't bother me, and I didn't see firsthand any negative effects. They didn't really bother me, but here it's a different story. And I never in my life have felt that I had to keep such a low profile just to not be noticed, to have people know things about me. And not that I'm the kind of paranoid person that thinks somebody's keeping tracks and keeping a dossier or something, but sometimes you just never know. And every new person that finds out that I have a YouTube channel and stuff, that kind of creeps me out, because I mean, I don't want people around here to know my business. I have met a few nice people that do live around here, and a few of them do know about my channel, and some of you even subscribe. But every time I find out a local who I think might know some of these bad people knows, and some bad people have watched some of my videos, and I don't want them to catch me talking about them, okay? I mean, because I know I have been very critical of some of the criminal element, and I've said how disgusting I am about certain things. And these people that are selling heroin and fentanyl, that's how that lady that had my cat, Cassie, how she died. So I'm not amused by all the stuff that's going on. And when you have guys that have little gas motors attached to their bicycles and they drive around and around and around and around, and those things, that motor is so loud. It sounds like all those motorcycles of different kinds that go in the ATVs, and they come back into the city and they go up and down the street and they go around here in a like a 1 or 2 mile radius. And several of my friends who are also my Facebook friends have heard the same people, and you don't want to hear that in the background. And it's really stressful when you could hear it over the television and the radio and stuff. And sometimes they do things really later at night than they should. And sometimes when you have people that are hanging out right underneath your bedroom window, and it's like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning, and I still yell at them sometimes. I lucked out the other night. I only had to complain twice, and they actually left. And you can't even call the cops anymore because the cops just don't come. And one time, a woman, speaking of police, there was a woman who was being manhandled and smacked, and I think eventually she was dragged into a car, and she was screaming, and I called 911. And I know call 911. I only call a non-emergency number, and only when I absolutely have to. Cops never came. And I'm thinking, for a woman that is being terrorized, you would think the police would come. So I think maybe they think, oh, it's those crazy white people on my street and they don't bother coming. And that's a shame. Because, I would think that they would be glad that there's citizens that are cooperating with them. Just trying to have a peaceful, safe place to live. Is that too much to ask? But anyway, now I don't know what this looks like. You get to see this before I do. I have to always be careful not to overlap this, because the last thing I want to do is have breakage. But a lot of times I take it off before it gets quite as light as I would like. And I realize I could have left it on longer, but I just don't want it to break off and me all of a sudden to have short hair. I'm not saying that I'm judgy on that sort of thing, but I am not a short hair person. I'm not going to have short hair. I think part of my attractiveness, if I am considered attractive by anybody, is in the length of my hair. And I've even been taking a hair growth supplement. They're gummies, so I swallow them because I don't like a gummy texture, but they're like strawberry flavored and basically just multivitamins. But I can't say that they've done any good, but I don't really use heat styling tools that much. I used to crimp my hair a lot and then tease it, and the thing is, my crimper broke a couple years ago, and I don't get as elaborate with my hair as I used to when I lived in California, because I don't go out enough to make it justified. And even, not that doing it just for YouTube wouldn't be worth it, but then once it's big, what happens if I have to go out the next day and I have to hide my hair in a hat so that I can sneak out of the house, even for a medical appointment? I have to think about what is practical. At least if I braid my hair up, I can hide under the hat, and I have to find a way to keep myself safe. But since I'm going to be dyeing my hair pretty much as soon as I'm bleached, that means I'll be able to go to the DMV, and I'll be able to get my photo ID, and I'll be able to have ID finally. Because you can't have your ID picture taken unless you look great, right? So, okay, I am going to have my mother take a look at my hair to make sure I didn't miss a spot. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, feel free to give a thumbs up. If you like me and my content, please do subscribe. If you do, hit the bell so it looks like it's ringing, and that way you don't miss anything I post. I will hopefully talk to you in a couple of days, because there's some things on my mind that I really would like to talk about. And so I will see you in a couple of days. Oh, and I love America. I love Ukraine. Again, if you got money, send it to Zelensky. He needs it. Bye.